I can't even tell you how much better I feel about my body. Because before it was always all these evil voices in my head saying I'm a horrible person and you're hideous, you're ugly, you're fat. And now it's just like, you're fabulous. You're doing the best you can. You've got this. Totally
right. And that's not because of the weight loss, right?
No, it's just every day. It's because of wild.
Yeah. Yeah. There's more this acceptance. How do you feel knowing that there will be a time in the future when your weight kind of goes up a little bit? How do you feel about that?
It'll be fine because, I'll be like, well, maybe I'll try to move more, make a few better choices. It'll be fine.
Hey, it's Nichole Kellerman-Worth, CEO of WildlyAlive.com, where we help women get on the same team as their bodies so they can feel and look their best. When a woman realizes how badass her body is, she feels alive and is no longer afraid to create the life she's always wanted. I know this to be true because it's happened to me and thousands of our clients. Welcome to the journey of getting on the same team as your body. Hello, hello, sisters. I have somebody here today, a Wildly Alive sister who has been in the Wildly Alive world for a while, and her relationship with her body and weight was something that motivated her to come into Wildly Alive. But the reason why I wanted to bring her on is because her journey is really, I wouldn't say unique in the sense of like a Wildly Alive journey, but what I would say is it's her story that's really going to represent what weight loss really means to Wildly Alive and, her journey with it. And it's unique in the sense of different than what's being taught out there in terms of weight loss and trying to make it happen, and kind of how it's evolved for her. And Sheila has been in the Wildly Alive world for 3 years.
Been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while, which is great and amazing. I absolutely love it. And she's really she's continued to evolve. Like that is for sure. I mean, it's been really amazing watching Sheila's evolution with all of this work. And also evolution as a woman, but also evolution in her relationship with her body and the shifts and changes that has happened within there without really forcing it, which that's really what I want to emphasize on this particular podcast is talking about her journey and really showcasing to you what happens when you release the intense need and you sink into these philosophies and what automatically happens with your weight and your body when you really just take these philosophies and really apply them as much as you can. And you really shift your perspective off of the need or the trying to lose the weight. So, hi, Sheila. I'm so happy to have you here.
Hi, happy to be here.
So, okay. So do you want to just share with the listeners a little bit about your history with your body and your weight?
Yes. Probably when I hit my mid-30s is when I really got into diet culture a lot. If there's a diet out there, I have tried it. Some of them were successful. I've done everything from HCG, the cabbage soup diet, Noom, a low-carb diet. And of course, they would work for a period of time. But then, of course, you can't sustain that type of situation. Like I can't go my whole life without eating bread. I can't eat my whole life, can't go my whole life without eating what I want. And when I joined Wildly Alive, I was hoping to lose weight, but it wasn't until about a year ago when I jumped in really hard, really started taking the time to absorb the courses, really started changing my mindset. And that's when I started to lose weight unintentionally, because it was all about dealing with the emotions that goes along with the food and why are you eating the food as opposed to you can't eat the food type of situation. So so far I've lost 30 pounds over the last year, just following the Wildly Alive practices and not being on any type of diet.
Right. So, okay. So when you first came into Wildly Alive, it was Wildly Alive Weight Loss, right?
Yeah.
That was like the brand. That was the name of the business. We do have a short 6-week course now called Wildly Alive Weight Loss, but we are still Wildly Alive. So you came in when it was Wildly Alive Weight Loss. And can you tell me a little bit about what was going on with you? Like, were you kind of, what called you into Wildly Alive? Like, what was it about that we were teaching and saying that really got you interested?
It was one of my friends actually had been following you for a while, and she wanted me to join her on a Wildly Alive weight loss challenge. And it was just so fun. It was just like posting pictures and just doing little things, like small shifts to change your life and change the way you are towards movement and eating and your emotions. It was just very small shifts that made all the difference. And as you know, I got more into Wildly Alive, and I finally was able to. My biggest thing was carving out time for myself. That was my biggest challenge. And when you do carve out just that little time for yourself to listen to the modules, connect with the sisters in the sisterhood, it makes every bit of difference because it really clicks then. You really just have to make sure you're devoting that time to yourself because you deserve it.
Right. Okay. So one thing that I could see so clearly the first year that you joined was this time commitment. And maybe a reason why you were struggling with your health that you were and your weight that you were was because you were giving away so much of your time to everybody else and not enough time to you. And so I remember that you were in the program, but I didn't really see you a ton, like I didn't see you a ton. And so it's not like from a place of shame, it's just like recognizing. And I think you got to this point where you realize this is, maybe one of the reasons why I'm feeling stuck is because I'm not really dedicating the time to myself that is really needed for me to start making the shifts that I really want.
That's 100% true. I'm a mom of triplet boys. So finding time for myself was extraordinarily challenging because I like gave everything to them, And so at the end of the day, I was just too tired to make any effort towards my health. But then I realized, I've got these kids and I need to be here for a while. I need to be able to take care of them. And the only way to do that is to make sure I'm taking care of myself. And so that finally clicked for me. I finally was able to devote the time to myself. I had a lot of body shame, and I finally realized, you just deserve this. You need this. You've got to do this for yourself. Otherwise, things aren't going to end up so good. So,
Right.
A lot of, I've had blood pressure and things like that. I would lose my breath just walking, and now it's just normal. I'm fine, and now I can walk. Movement is natural. It's easy. It's, it's
Right.
not a chore anymore.
Right. Yeah. And so then when Sheila stepped in for the next year, we did kind of have a conversation about it of like, let's really like give this a go. Like, let's really step in and really apply these philosophies, because before she was like maybe just a little bit more of a lurker, just kind of like watching, and that definitely happens. It definitely happens in our free master classes where there's plenty of people who have signed up, and I can tell that people are like watching the trainings, but they're not really participating, and they're kind of like sitting in the background, just witnessing and watching. And I could see that that was a really good like running start for you, where you were like starting to like, okay, I'm like, it's kind of like what some people do with like fitness videos is like, they're like, I'm just going to watch first and then I will like get up and start moving my body. And so it was kind of like oiling your car up, like getting things ready. You were trying to like really get yourself there. And then, then that second year it was like, okay, well, let's really go through this and apply and put these philosophies into practice. So is there like a conversation that you had to have with yourself or something that you needed to do for yourself to help make that shift so you made that time for yourself? Like, was there any sort of heart to hearts that you had with yourself or boundaries that you had to put in with other people or people you had to delegate to or anything like that to help you set aside some time for you?
I kind of had to put up some boundaries with my children because they're always, mommy, I want, mommy, I want, mommy, I want, mommy, I want. And, so I'm always like, I don't, for myself, I would be like, okay, well, I don't have time for myself. I just don't have time. I can't squeeze it in. But I think you made it very clear that you're like, you need to carve out that time. You have to carve out that time. And it took a long time and I'm, in my mind, I'm like, I don't have time, Nichole. I just don't have time. But then you realize you have to make the time. You have to commit to yourself to make that time. And it makes all the difference. Whether it's 10 minutes, 20 minutes, out of your day, it's everything to make time.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say is like, we're not saying when you really jump on this health bandwagon and really want to create some change in your life and in your health and in your body, we're not saying it's going to need to take an hour a day, right? It
Right.
can be 5-10 minutes. It can be just these little tiny chunks. So did that help you, or were you more like breaking things down into smaller increments?
When I finally learned to break things down, and I think it was maybe during Unstoppable when we really pushed the power of 10 and 10 minutes, how 10 minutes can change your day, change your life, change your attitude. And I think that's when it really clicked for me that it's not that much time. I have time. I do have time.
Right. So you also like really just started evaluating and challenging your mind, because like this is really important for everyone to hear. It's so easy to just be like, well, you just don't understand. I don't have any time. And it's like, honestly, if Sheila can find the time, anyone can find the time, because this woman is busy. She is a mom of 3 triplet boys. Did you hear that? Did you hear that? Boys, like full of energy, wild and crazy. I mean, I have 1 and I'm just like, and she has 3. And her mind for so long, Helga, was just like, you just don't understand. I don't have time. And sometimes this will happen where we'll sign up for things in hopes that if we sign up, it means that our life is going to change, right? But you have to like embody some of this stuff. You have to really put it into play. And so then it was really in that next year when Sheila was like, okay, like I'm going to find the time. I don't need to be doing everything for my children. They can do some of these things. They can figure out how to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, like I'm sure they can figure it out. I'll show them how to do it and they can do it again. And, and kind of releasing some of the control around some of the things that you did do, right? Like, and I think that's really important for women to understand is we can either be the controller of the universe and have everything done our way because we think that we can do it so much better than everyone else, blah, 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 but we are running ourselves ragged when there are people who are willing to help us, but we just have to be willing to relinquish some of that control and also some of that perfectionism, because they might not do it the way that you do it. They might not do it as good as you do it. But if the dishwasher is loaded, maybe it's not loaded perfectly, but if the dishwasher is loaded and it's one less thing for you to do because you have been doing all of the things, then so be it. The dishwasher is loaded like a 7-year-old loaded it, but it's loaded. All I need to do is like press start, right?
Yes, I'll take the clean dishes. It took me a while to learn that because I did want to do things my way because I'm so used to it. But yeah, you got to let it go. You got to learn to lean back, let people help you if it's possible, and really just make an appointment with yourself so you take your time. Just do the damn thing.
Right. And so, okay, so big takeaways here is flexibility in how you care for yourself, and understanding that it's not night and day. It's not A to Z. It's not I'm either in or I'm out. Like these little small micro things, like moving your body for 10 minutes. So did you start moving your body? Did you find little pockets like during the day, like strapping your shoes on and going and walking during lunch? Or
yeah, sometimes I would go for a walk during lunch, or sometimes it would be after homework. I'd just do a video in my room, sometimes like a 10-minute Koya video, or anything just to feel that movement, or just playing with the kids. every little bit adds up.
Right. Okay. And then in terms of like nutrition and things that you ate, where did you feel like you really got tripped up in that department?
Well, I did a lot of emotional eating, and I don't always make the best choices, but I've learned how to tell when I'm eating because I'm hungry and when I'm eating because I'm emotional. And when you catch yourself eating to fill that void of, whatever the emotion is that you're lacking, you can kind of sit with that, figure out why you're trying to reach for the food, and you stop. And it doesn't happen automatically. It happens over time as as you realize what you're doing. And over the past year, I realize what I'm doing when I'm reaching for food that I don't even want. It's just an emotional fulfillment. So that's definitely part of the weight loss I've had.
So what do you do when you are like having an emotional craving? Like, how do you navigate yourself through that now versus before?
Oh, before I would have just fulfilled the craving with the food. Whereas now I'll just take a moment, or I'll go for a walk and try to do something energetic to kind of burn off whatever vibes I've got going on, and see, am I really hungry, or is there something else going on? So I can clear my head and figure out what's going on. What do I need? What does my body need right now?
Yeah. Okay. That's really big. So I think when it comes to nutrition and when it comes to eating, we often just think, oh, well, we just need to cut out the carbs or start drinking the wine and, stop eating dairy or don't eat gluten or whatever. And though those things are healthy, I will not argue with you on that one at all. But it's more about taking inventory of why you feel like you can't control yourself around those things. Because we're big advocates of moderation in Wildly Alive and like not eliminating any foods that you really love. Of course, if you have like a food sensitivity or a food allergy, that's kind of a different conversation. But it's not about restricting and pulling things out of your diet to be quote unquote healthy, because as you'll learn when we move into our Wildly Alive expert for this month, something that Ashley says is so brilliant is that if you're not willing to do it for the rest of your life, then why even try? Right? Like if you're not willing to get rid of bread for the rest of your life, then that's not sustainable. It's not going to last, right? And
Right.
So it's really about, for Sheila, it's really about drilling into, why do I feel like I lose control in the kitchen? Why do I feel like I can't control myself around certain foods? And using the tools that we talk about within Wildly Alive Mastery, specifically the class where we talk about emotional eating is called Body Talk, where we talk about how to process and manage and be in your body when you're having an emotional experience and not try to escape it with the food. And so now, was that big for you to realize, Sheila, that it wasn't about trying to control yourself around the food? It was more about like what is really going on at the core of it?
That's absolutely huge, because when you actually sit with it and realize it's not about the food, it's life-changing. It's like you have an epiphany and everything sort of falls into place because you're lacking something else. And when you figure out what that is, then you can fulfill it. So it's just not about the food. And if you want the damn food, then you can have the food, but just enjoy the food.
Right.
Yeah. Moderation has been huge. Just the whole mindset around food has been huge for me, because if I tell myself I can't have something, that's the only thing I want. Whereas if I know I can have it, then, I'm okay.
Right. Exactly. Where we're standing in that energy of choice. You always have a choice. You can eat it. You can emotionally eat. And we talk about that in Body Talk. You can emotionally eat. You can. I have done it. Everyone, people have done it. You can emotionally eat from a place of choice, of like, I am clearly stressed and I am clearly going to have this glass of wine and this pasta because I'm stressed out. I know that. I am aware of that. I am going to do that. And that is my choice. That is far different than having all the stressful emotion in your body and then just unconsciously running into the pantry and binging your face off and not even realizing what you were doing until a half an hour later, when you are stuffed and bloated and like feeling so terrible and full of shame that you're like, whoa. And your mind wants to say, oh, it's because you can't control yourself around the food. This is the problem. It's such a different mindset shift of like, and yeah, Bailey is here, as you may hear her, she's sitting right next to me. It's such a different mindset shift of like, I know that I'm emotional eating. I know that I am choosing to drink this or eat this because I've had a stressful day. Are there other tools out there that could help me manage my stress? Yes, but I'm choosing not to use those. Okay. I'm just going to have my one. I'm going to have my pasta. That is so much different than unconsciously running into the pantry over and over again, eating your face off, and then all of a sudden finishing and saying, you're such a bad girl. You shouldn't have ate that stuff. That was bad. That was bad. That was bad. It's like, it's night and day, because one is recognizing the emotion, knowing that the emotion is in here. Yes, we have some tools that, you know, sometimes we use them. Sometimes we use our meditation and go for a walk and all of that. And yes, right? Of course, that is the ideal. But there are some times when you can emotionally eat from a place of choice. And that is it's a completely different ball game than this unconscious, unaware of my emotions, avoiding my emotions in the food, and then just shaming myself and telling myself I'm a fat pig who can't control myself.
Yes, giving yourself the choice to eat whatever you want, it's huge. Like the other day, I took a big bite I bit the head off of a marshmallow peep, and it was very satisfying and intentional, and I loved it, and it was fine.
Right. And did you finish it? Or you're just like, I just don't want.
Feel good about it.
I just want to bite the head off. I just wanted to bite the head off. That's funny. That's really funny. Yeah. And so like, really, you know, and a lot of the things that we really talk about, and when it comes to your relationship with food and losing weight because maybe you are eating more food than your body really requires, is that it's not about restriction, that it's about this inventory, it's about this curiosity, it's about this compassion. And that's really the gateway to having a healthy relationship with food, not going into old dieting patterns of restricting, right?
Right. Yeah, because then you just want.
Exactly. It just makes you want to eat it more. So then in this last year of Wildly Alive, when you have just really been applying the principles, which again, we don't give out any sort of meal plans or exercise plans or anything like that. We don't tell you what you should and shouldn't eat. We don't tell you how you should and shouldn't move. We don't give you any of that. We give you a lot of guidance and tools on how to navigate this for yourself. I feel like what happened is all of a sudden you posted a testimonial in the playground groups saying like, I'm down X amount of pounds. So do you feel like, were you watching it happen, or was it just like you felt better, you were feeling better, you were feeling better, you were feeling better, and then you were like, oh, my pants are fitting smaller, and oh, my clothes are fitting smaller, and it was kind of like you pieced together, oh, I'm embodying the philosophies, and oh, look at this byproduct that's also happening.
Yes, totally. I usually don't get on the scale, but I had been following the Wildly Alive practices, and I felt really lighter. I just felt different. I felt healthy. I felt good. And so I'm like, well, let me just see. And sure enough, and then I'd see my doctor too, you know, you have to do the scale there. And she was like beside herself. She was so happy because I'd lost the weight and my blood pressure was good and I was healthy. And she was just very excited, and as was I. So it just.
Yeah, that's amazing. So for those of you who are actually watching this video, little Miss Bailey is now on the camera. She needed to be on the camera. So let's just really like bold and underline and highlight the fact that it wasn't something you were forcefully trying to do. It wasn't something that you were really focused on. It was something that happened as a byproduct of healing your relationship with food, your body, and exercise.
Absolutely. As a result of, finding peace with my body, communicating with my body, being team with my body, and just listening to what she wants. That was it. No
Yeah.
diet.
Yeah. So how do you feel about your body now?
Oh gosh, I can't even tell you how much better I feel about my body. Because before it was always all these evil voices in my head saying I'm a horrible person and you're hideous, you're ugly, you're fat. And now it's just like, you're fabulous. You're doing the best you can. You've got this. Totally
Right.
different.
And that's not because of the weight loss, right?
No, it's just every day. It's because
Right.
of wild.
Yeah. Yeah. There's more this acceptance. How do you feel knowing that there will be a time in the future when your weight kind of goes up a little bit? How do you feel about that?
It'll be fine because, I'll be like, well, maybe I'll try to move more, make a few better choices. It'll be fine.
Right.
I'm okay.
It's not a drama.
Nope. I will not fall into the drama again.
Right. It's the drama that's really causing a lot of the resistance and the stuckage and things like that.
Totally.
Yeah, there was one more piece I was going to say there. Because and this is really important to understand is our bodies are going, and this is like, I feel like we've said this in every podcast now, is your body is going to ebb and flow. It's going to change. There might be times when your weight influxes a little bit because something happens and, things are crazy and you're stressed and you're not really caring for your body the way that you typically do, and the weight's going to go up. Or say we're moving to winter and our body just naturally creates a little bit more insulation and fat during the winter months. Like, it is going to happen. I'm not saying that we're going to get old and fat and ugly. That's not what I'm saying. It's the body ebbs and flows and evolves. And to assume that you're just going to lose the weight and keep it off forever and you'll never have to worry about it ever again and everything will be great, rainbows and sunshines and dancing through the fields, like, it's just silly. And that's what I thought for so long. And it's like, as you go through certain phases of life, the body is going to shift and change. But what is so beautiful about getting on the same team as your body and learning how to listen to her is you can figure out, okay, what does she need more of? What does she need less of? And it's more of this inquiry between you and your body, as opposed to looking outside of yourself for like, what's the next diet? What's the next thing I need to do? What's the next cleanse I need to do? And that's always our hope, that when you leave the Wildly Alive container, or at some point within the Wildly Alive container, you realize that you have all the answers inside of you. We aren't giving you the answers. We're guiding you to your own solution, to your own answer, to your whatever problem you're going through.
Yeah, everything you need is within you. And if you take the time, you will find it. Everything is there.
Right. Yep. And like, slow down and listen. So is there any like tool or anything that, like, if we were to leave the listeners with something to kind of take action on, is there like a tool that really resonated with you that you feel like you use almost every single day, or like a mindset shift that really changed things for you once you really really sat with it? Is there anything that's coming to mind?
I've actually, every day I've started meditating, which literally it's like 5 to 10 minutes of my life. And it really just sets the tone for the whole day. It puts you in line with yourself and what you want for your day. And it just, instead of waking crabby, you wake up feeling good, just feeling good and listening to
you do that every morning?
Yes.
Before you get out of bed or in bed?
Actually, once I get out of bed.
You get out of bed and you sit in a chair?
I go downstairs and sit on the couch while the boys are still sleeping before I wake them up. I just take a few minutes to myself just to set my tone for the day.
Oh, I love that. I love that. And especially for those of you who are moms, I have really found this in my 10 plus years of coaching. I have found that moms especially need that little bit of time in the morning before the kids wake up to give to herself. Like, that is so important.
to not basically grow resentful and crazy, is even just 5 or 10 minutes. And maybe if meditating isn't necessarily your jam, I would start maybe with 2 minutes and then maybe do like 5 minutes of journaling. I mean, even if you have kids or not, could you just set an intention 2 times this week to meditate for 5 minutes, to journal for 5 minutes, or even, and I know this probably started for you, because I think maybe Sheila, for you, it maybe just started with like just some quiet time, even before, just where it's like, maybe I'll just have a cup of hot water and some lemon and sit on the couch and just drink it before it gets cold. Like that could even be a really good first step, because I know sometimes meditation feels really intimidating. But I'm sure that it took Sheila a few, like she started easing into it. Would you say that you kind of eased into it?
100%. Even just I probably started with like maybe 2 minutes of quiet time and then built things up to actually have more self-care.
Yeah. And like closing your eyes. So meditation is really hard for me. I mean, I am more of like a visualization type of person. I need a little bit more guidance. Do you just sit in silence?
I usually do a guided meditation.
Oh, perfect.
Recording. And so that's what I like. It's just seriously 5 to.
Yep. And we give a lot of guided meditations and visualizations within Wildly Alive Mastery as well. But like maybe it's just starting your day 2 times a week, right? We always want to set our goals eye rolling easy, because when they're eye rolling easy, you're much more likely to do them and feel good and build your confidence. Yeah. And then you can, because if we just say, oh, let's just start meditating, every single morning. No, we're not doing every single, we got to start with something. So two times this week, can you set your alarm 10 minutes earlier and get up and just sit on the couch for 10 minutes, 5 minutes before you start your day, and just breathe, and maybe drink some hot water and lemon, maybe close your eyes and focus on your breath, maybe start a visualization, whatever you're feeling called to, but just something small, 5-10 minutes, 2 minutes, really, 2 times a week this week, and just give it a shot and see how it shifts things in your day. That's great, Sheila. So anything else that you want to share that's on your mind?
I would just say the most important thing, and the thing that really made every bit of difference for me after being here for so long and finally making that commitment to myself, was really just taking 10 minutes a day for myself and just starting with that. It's just a commitment to yourself. And if you're not willing to show up for yourself, it's not going to work. You have to show up for yourself. And it took me a while to get there, but once you do it, you're solid.
Right. Once that habit is kind of like established a little bit more, and you build into it, and again, like, Sheila was more like watching in the background at first, but she needed that to get to where she is now. And so for any of you listening who feel like, oh yeah, I'm definitely more of just a watcher, and you're shaming yourself for that, what you need to see is that that's a part of your journey. Right? Like Sheila would not be where she is today if it wasn't for the time in her life where she just spectated. That spectated part of her life was really getting her prepared for movement and traction and embodiment and trying things and failing and getting back up. And so there's no shame in the fact that you might be somebody who's just been watching, and trusting that your time of action will come. It will. You will feel the motivation. You will feel, it won't be somebody holding your hand and saying, hey, I'm going to like drag you through this. You're going to do this, right? It's not going to be like that. There will be an inner motivation. There will be like you will get yourself to a point where you can, and you will find the time for yourself. And the more that you can accept that this is a part of your journey and let go of any shame that you have for that fact, the faster the inner motivation and the inner inspiration to get yourself moving, to really do this for you, the faster you will get there. The faster you drop the shame, the faster you'll get there.
because I sometimes think that women just think, I just need an accountability partner. I just need somebody to hold my hand. And though there is a ton of support within Wildly Alive, you have the mentors, you have the sisters, you have me, you have the trainings, you have all of those things there to support you. At the end of the day, you are the one who's going to save yourself, not us, right? Not anybody else. And we can continue to reach outside of ourselves for the answer. But if you really want to do this for the long haul and feel good and feel empowered and feel confident looking into the future, this is going to be something you will motivate yourself to do. You just need to trust it. And I just see shame holding women back from finding that inner motivation, or thinking that they don't have the answers, thinking that the answer is outside of them. The answer is within you. The motivation is within you. So really open yourself up to that possibility first, drop the shame, and then some natural desire to do stuff will start to, the momentum will start to pump. You will start to feel it.
Yes, you can look out the window all you want, but only you can open the door. So get on out there.
Right. I love it. Okay, Sheila, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. And yeah, for those of you listening and watching, thank you for being here. From Bailey and me and Sheila, when in doubt, ask your body. Bye. I hope that Sheila's story inspired you and you can take a little bit of time for yourself in the mornings and see how it shifts your day. If you enjoyed this, please like or comment somewhere around it. It really helps us spread our message. We also have a free masterclass coming up. It's called Resolution Reset, and it's about making your weight loss resolutions feel good. This is doing it right this time. So look for the link somewhere around this video or audio. We would love to have you. And if you'd like to move on to the next podcast, you're going to meet Wildly Alive mentor Aaliyah. She's going to give you some of her biggest takeaways on her body image and weight loss journey with Wildly Alive and how that is different and unique than anything else that she's tried.